Welcome back to News of the Day, and it's not all great news, so we'll try to wade our way through it, shall we? All right. First up, Philippe Myers is out 4 weeks with a fractured patella. Odds are, if I'd stayed home last night, that would have been part of another video at some point during the day, but we're going out to a Canucks game, so I took it a little bit easier yesterday when it comes to the whole hockey bit because I knew I was going to a game. So Myers being out 4 weeks, that definitely hurts the Flyers a lot. He's been an excellent player for them on that blue line this year. His defensive numbers are fantastic. There's a lot of potential there with this kid, so hopefully he is back in 4 weeks' time. And I genuinely think the Flyers have a chance to do something special this year. So hopefully Myers isn't out too long. Maybe he's out fast. Maybe he's back sooner than that. Now I've been getting questions on this, so I'm just going to let you guys know what's being reported. Per Pierre LeBrun, the San Jose Sharks, these guys are leaning towards playing games at home in front of empty arenas. And the reason is the ban could extend to all of California by the time these games are being played. So the idea of they could play it in Oakland, they could play it, the ban could extend to all of California by the time that rolls around, which is going to affect Disneyland as well. There likely will be closures there. They're already getting hit in China. And I know there's a lot of complaining about how it's all just this crazy. No, it's not though, because even last night at the Canucks game, I thought, if there was one person in this arena, one who was carrying the virus completely unaware, they could infect so many people. There were so many points during that game before and after where I was like, there are so many people. We're all just kind of crushed together. It'd be very easy for a virus to pass to 4 or 5 different people in minutes. And so I get it because this is something new and it's something different. They're just trying to slow the spread. They're trying to make sure people are safe as possible. One thing I heard yesterday was how during flu season and cold season, when kids go for Christmas break, it slows the spread of the seasonal flu. So, in trying to stop something, people said, "Oh, it's just a more dangerous flu," right? And yeah, and that's kind of the thing. It's brand new, and the numbers of just how dangerous they are, they're still kind of eh. So, as if for instance, you go to a game last night, you're exposed, you have no idea. You've no clue. You don't have any idea who's sitting next to you, who maybe is selling you a 50-50 ticket, who you might have seen in the team store. You might have stood behind them in line for tickets. You might have stood in front of them. There's no 3 feet separation. That's not a thing at a hockey rink or any sporting event. So you may have been exposed. Now the next day you've got a grandmother that's in a home, and you're going to go and visit her. So you go and visit her, and you've got this. You have no idea you have it, and now you've just exposed her, and now she gets it, and now anybody she comes into contact with could potentially get it as well. And in that situation where people are really vulnerable, right? So that's and let's say for instance I go to the game last night, so I have it. I have no idea. 10 days from now, I go to visit somebody who's old. I'm out walking around the mall. I have no idea. I pick something up. That's interesting. I put it down. 10 seconds later, somebody else picks it up. Right? It's still on the surface. It doesn't last very long on surfaces, but right. So or I'm around and I cough, but I'm still within 3 feet of somebody, and then that person has it. They pass it on. So this is what the crowd bans are trying to prevent. They're trying to slow it down. It's not about creating mass hysteria. It's about just trying to slow this down until the medical community gets a handle on it. So think of it that way. Now, conversely, we'll come back to that because sadly it's not the only time we're going to be discussing some of this. So let's go to something that's a little more fun and bizarre. The Colorado Avalanche. Larry Walker's 53 years of age. He's a baseball Hall of Famer to be. I am 110% behind him being in the Baseball Hall of Fame. On Sunday, he is the emergency backup goaltender in the game for the game between Colorado and Vegas. Okie dokie. There's going to be 2 coaches that night who might love Larry Walker, who really hope their second goaltender doesn't get hurt that night. No offense to Larry Walker, but we've all argued against Brian Burke and Brian Burke talking about David Ayers and this whole thing. And you can't have just beer league goaltender. Terrible terminology. There are some good goaltenders in beer leagues, but to have this out and then this. So somewhere Brian Burke's going, see, told you, that's ridiculous. Larry Walker shouldn't be the emergency backup goaltender, and I'm stuck going, that's just proving Burke's point. Shouldn't be used as a PR thing at all, because again, it's very, very unlikely that Larry Walker has to play. But what if it happens? What if we're in a situation where Larry Walker is in net? And suddenly Colorado fans at the start of the game are like, we love Larry Walker, are going, oh, you're a goaltender. No. Because if there's any team that could potentially end up in an emergency backup goalie situation, I would bet on Colorado, because they have no luck when it comes to injuries this year. None. Ask any Avs fan, they'll tell you. Speaking of injury news, Tomas Tatar's out indefinitely for the Montreal Canadiens, which tells me the rest of the season. It's been a rough year for Montreal. Sure. Tatar's hurt. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Of course. Yep. Yep, that's how it works. Montreal's been a bad year. Just put it behind you, and next year should be better. There's a lot of good young kids coming along, and there's good young kids in the lineup, and we'll see how things go for them next year. So coming back to other topics, the double IHF, the men's Worlds has not been canceled yet. There's been talks, but it's May 8th to 24th, so there's time. But here's the problem. So with all those other talks swirling around, and the fact that parts of Europe are locked down, if you're in Italy, hello. Hopefully my videos can help pass the time. So if you're a National Hockey League player right now, you might be like, international travel? Not really feeling that right now. Once we have our season done, I'm more inclined to stay home with my family. I'm more inclined to do something else. So it may be even harder than normal for the men's Worlds to actually attract NHL level players. So it's going to be tough, because if this tournament is adversely affected, and this is something that we need to see the big picture of as well. Now, I live in Canada, and in Canada we have a lot of places where you have sick pay and sick leave and all this, and in the States there's a lot of places where you just don't. So if you're laid off, if you're out of work, well, good luck. And right, so for this tournament, I believe it's in Switzerland. I'm not sure how things work in Switzerland when it comes to things like sick days, sick leave, and all that. And not only that, but people who would be out of work if this tournament doesn't go forward. I'm not sure what other plans there are for that. For instance, yesterday I got a notice that Vegas MGM was canceling all of their buffets for now. Again, it's the same thing. It's public, large groupings. They can't keep people 3 feet apart just for safety reasons. But you can take people who would normally work in buffets and find other things for them to do in a casino, which again could be used to help, make sure everything's sanitized and just protect your clientele. So I don't know how that would work, though, with the IHF canceling the tournament, what that would do to jobs that are affected. So there will be a lot of storylines out of this that we can follow. Columbus, this is related. Columbus, they're planning to host games on Thursday and Saturday as scheduled, although the governor of Ohio has asked for spectator-free events. Keep in mind, San Jose was resisting at first when the county said something about restricting it, and they had to outright ban it before San Jose said all right. So, yeah, for Columbus, this is interesting too, because this is Ohio, and of course Philadelphia. There's talks of Philadelphia came out yesterday and said, hey, if you're feeling sick, don't go to the game, and they got over 19,000 people last night. So I think there may have been a person or two in that crowd that may have had a cough. So, again, and I put this on the board as an example. So for people who say, they should just forget it, don't worry about it. Okay, when you're exposed to this, you're put into quarantine. Again, for the same reason, they want to make sure you don't affect other people. If Connor McDavid does a meet greet with fans, and one of those fans turns out to have it, and he goes into a 14-day quarantine during the playoffs, can you imagine the chaos that would create? Oiler fans would go nuts. And then not only that, but what if McDavid's, gets exposed? We find out 3 days later, and the entire Oilers team is put in quarantine. So think about that for a second. So with that being the standard, and right now there are even lawmakers in the U.S. who are under quarantine, both Democrat and Republican. It just doesn't care which side you fall on. With people being in quarantine, we don't want to see that with hockey players. So I'm perfectly fine with them playing in spectator-free locations. Last night, we loaded up on hand sanitizer. It's just what we're doing. We're going to be doing that in Vegas as well. Just being safe and being smart. But I understand. I understand from being at that game last night. I thought, I get it. If we reach a point where Vancouver says, we've got to not have these. The one good news thing is, I was talking to Yvonne about this morning, is that we're near the end of the regular season. If this had come along in October, this would be horrible because it'd be a ton of games. Now, playoffs, it's still 16 teams, which pairs down to 8, pairs down to 4, pairs down to 2, and it affects less spectators. It affects less fans as time goes on. And so we'll see how this progresses from here. The question I ask again is, how long does this go on for? And this is why I don't agree with canceling games. This is why I don't agree with canceling anything. Because there's no guarantee that 2, 3, 4 months from now, 5 months, 6 months from now, this could just be a new seasonal thing where it's just part of life. So I think the games should be played. How they play them, that's up to them. But I think if you cancel the games completely, I think people would be. I think that'd be really discouraging. So now Vancouver. I've been asked this question, so I'm going to answer it in a video. You turn up the brightness just a little bit. That's a little better. Nikita Tariff, his season has ended. His contract is over in the KHL. So Canuck fans ask what Canuck fans ask every year. Is Nikita Tariff coming back? He's 6'8". He's built like a truck. He can't come back this season. Everything I've read is that because he's on the reserve list, and he's a restricted free agent, that if he signs a contract, it's the same as every other restricted free agent, that if he signs a contract, he can't play until next year. He would have had to have signed that contract by December 1st. He has the same deadline as other restricted free agents. So that's what I've read from numerous sources, and we'll see what happens. But honestly, I don't know with Tariff. I was really, really high on the kid 3 years ago. I don't know now. Just the reports I've read, his stats, his overall play. He's a good defenseman. I don't know how much of an upgrade he would be in the top 6 for the Vancouver Canucks. And as much as I love the kid, and I do, I think he's great. He's a huge kid. I remember when they got Goodbranson, I was like, why do they need Goodbranson? They have Tariff. They play the same game. But, and they do. Tariff's younger, bigger version of Goodbranson, really. So we'll see if Tariff does return. But if he does for Vancouver, it'll be next season. So I would like to see him back, but I'd prefer if it was in the new season anyways than this year. I'd rather not add somebody just before the playoffs. That could just throw things off. And the Canucks have already had their struggles on and off over the last 3-4 weeks, right? So I'd rather not see anything added to that. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. And hey, hockey's being affected by this. It could affect the salary cap for next year. This could cause massive ripples, but it could also cancel WrestleMania, so it may not end up being something that you can get away from just by going, that's it, I'm not listening to hockey stuff anymore, so it's everywhere. And I do my best to report, and again, it's the Voldemort. I guess I could just say Voldemort, couldn't I? He who must not be named. That's so geeky. I don't even like Harry Potter. I just lost like a bunch of subscribers saying it, but I never enjoyed Harry Potter. It just puts me to sleep. I don't know what it is. It just puts me to sleep. All right. That controversy aside, I never shy away from those kinds of comments. I understand. You got to take a stand somewhere, and for me, it's Harry Potter. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Do hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, thank you guys so much for all your support and for people who approached me at the game last night. I mentioned it in the Canucks review. I'll mention it again here. Thanks for coming over, and thank you so much for continued support. And again, I mentioned this last night as well. Meetups for me are going forward as they normally would. I plan on having meetup season the way that I always do. So that's road hockey, floor hockey. Because again, I think the sense of normalcy, despite any other craziness going on, is important. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.